Hey y'all, it's Colson from Hodl Economics, and today we'll be going over a sector that I think is super undervalued and has a ton of potential for growth, and that is Bitcoin mining stocks. We'll be looking over, what is a Bitcoin miner, the importance of Bitcoin mining within the whole Bitcoin ecosystem and the whole transactional process, why I think they're super undervalued right now and can spike up a ton, as much as 100% within the next 12 months, not even thinking about the next 5 years, where it will go up exponentially. We're going over, how I look for undervalued Bitcoin miners and stocks as a whole, the stock tickers that I hold in my own portfolio, as well as some people that I follow on social media to kind of keep up to date with everything. Not financial advice, do your own research. Let's get into the video. Obviously, first things first, you want to know what you're investing in. Go into your handy dandy search bar and type in what is a Bitcoin miner. Click enter, and we have this little DuckDuckGo assist pop-up. A Bitcoin miner is a participant in a network-wide competition to generate a cryptographic solution that validates transactions and adds them to the blockchain. Basically, you just have, it's a piece of tech, just like a computer or a phone that you're watching this on, is a specialized computer to solve complex math problems, and once it solves that complex math problem, it validates the transaction and subsequently adds it to the blockchain, adds that block to the blockchain, and once that happens, the miner is rewarded Bitcoin for their effort, for running the energy. As far as what a Bitcoin miner looks like, this is what a Bitcoin farm looks like, a Bitcoin facility. It's just each one of these little blocks right here is a Bitcoin miner. Each one of these is a computer node that runs the tech that solves the it solves the algorithms and validates the transaction on the network, adds the block to the blockchain. Here's a kind of the messier version of things. But it's just just like a computer or something. It's just a piece of technology that runs that runs a bunch of code. And so as far as the actual transaction, I really like this graphic to outline it. What is Bitcoin mining? How Bitcoin transactions work? We have Alice and we have Bob. And Alice wants to buy a product from Bob using Bitcoin. This is the entry, opens up the address, blah, blah, blah. But as far as the Bitcoin miners are concerned, from here to here, transaction is requested by Alice. That means the algorithm is kind of requested out into the world. The block is broadcast to all the mining nodes in the Bitcoin network. All of them are rush, trying to solve the code, solve the algorithm to validate the transaction. Once the first miner validates the transaction, the block is added onto the blockchain, and that miner receives this Bitcoin as a reward for validating that transaction. Then, the block is on the blockchain, the transaction is complete, and the new block is added. And then, it just goes over to the next one. Someone else does it, and the transaction process starts again. But then Bob receives his Bitcoin. Now, Bob doesn't actually receive this Bitcoin. Bob receives the initial Bitcoin from Alice from right here. This is just the whole process right here. This Bitcoin that is rewarded for this block that is mined goes to this third-party miner. We're just going to put them out right here. They receive this Bitcoin because they're the one that actually spent the energy and the computer power to validate this transaction, add this block to the blockchain. So, miners are the whole key to the whole Bitcoin transactional process. From here to here. So from part C all the way to part G, or whatever this is right here, is the Bitcoin miner. There is no process. There is no transaction. Bitcoin doesn't work without the miners. They're the whole middleman. It's the whole transactional process. With this process, this transaction could not happen without Bitcoin, or without the miner. So when you're investing in Bitcoin miners, you're investing in the tech behind Bitcoin. You're not just investing in Bitcoin. You're not just buying Bitcoin and holding it and putting it aside and not touching it. You're investing in the tech behind it. You're investing in this whole process right here. And so that's kind of the whole value. You're investing in the behind the scenes. You're investing in the source of Bitcoin rather than just buying an asset and holding. As far as the innate value for Bitcoin miners, aside from acting as the middleman for the entire Bitcoin transactional process, we're going to pop over to this handy dandy website called coinglass.com. You scroll down a little bit. This is their main page. You scroll down a little bit till you see this Bitcoin exchange balance. Click on that. I already have it pulled up, so nothing happens. But this is basically, this green line marks the median across all exchanges for their Bitcoin reserves, the Bitcoin held on the exchanges that you the consumer, you the customer, buy when you buy Bitcoin on something such as Coinbase or Binance or even Cash App. As you can see here, this is Bitcoin's price and Bitcoin's balance. The Bitcoin reserves across all exchanges are charted on this graph. And if you focus on this green line, you can see that it is steadily going down as Bitcoin's price grows up. Of course, the green line is steadily going down. That means that exchanges have less and less Bitcoin for you, the consumer, you, the customer, to buy from them. The supply is continually getting more and more limited. And so the big thing with this, as far as miners go, exchanges do not have Bitcoin unless they buy them initially from the miners. That means you cannot buy Bitcoin from exchanges unless exchanges initially buy this from the miners. And since this most recent halving event in April, just over 3 Bitcoin are mined, per block. So miners are producing less and less Bitcoin just kind of through the whole natural life cycle of Bitcoin that was written into its code through the halving event. And so exchanges are able to buy less and less. People are accumulating more and more Bitcoin. As you can see here, the balance on exchanges is steadily on a decline. With the ETFs launching in December, ETFs now hold 5% of Bitcoin. At this current date, that number will only go up. They hold 5% of the total supply. Average retail consumers are buying and holding more and more. They're selling less. They're seeing the value in the asset. So they're, as far as the long term goes, so they're less likely to hold it. Miners are producing less, so exchanges are in turn able to buy less Bitcoin. So when you're investing in miners, you're investing in Bitcoin's technology at the source, because exchanges don't have Bitcoin without miners. You, the consumer, cannot buy Bitcoin without miners. BlackRock, Fidelity, they cannot buy Bitcoin without the miners. So I think miners are really undervalued right now because, this isn't really priced in. We always talk about how the supply is the driving force behind Bitcoin's, innate value. There will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin. And that number is slowly, the faucet is slowly getting tighter. That water is dripping more and more, or less and less. It's less of a steady flow of Bitcoin, I should say. So I think miners are a huge, potential investment for right now, especially with this Bitcoin balance steadily on the decline. Now, as far as actually evaluating Bitcoin miners, I use this website called Simply Wall Street. It's simply.st. And then, so we're going to go to search bar, and we'll use Iris Energy as a as an example here. The ticker is IREN. Now, this is a big thing I see on Twitter a lot. This is one of my favorite miners because they don't only invest, or they're not only a Bitcoin mining company. They own Bitcoin mining operations, but they also focus with like AI, cloud, that type of thing. AI cloud services. Here you go. That's what I'm looking for. This is just, you type it in. This is the first thing you get. This is the opener. It is a software stock. It gives you this little chart, this little infographic right here. Rewards trading roughly 85% below our estimate of its fair value. Highly volatile, which is, for me, that's something I actually like to see, because I'm focused on portfolio growth, rapid growth, rather than just kind of stagnation and slow growth for where I'm at currently. So as you can see here, good health, 4 out of 6 analysis checks on that. 0 out of 6 for dividends. 0 out of 6 for past performance. Valuation is another 4 out of 6, and future is 5 out of 6. So this is something that they're saying is very undervalued. Something that I agree with being very undervalued. This is a really good stock. So it also shows some competitors right here, and so infographics on them as well. Price history and performance, as well as kind of some important events. They got these little tickers right here that are color coded. Recent news and updates, benefit from its AI cloud services, expansion, shareholder returns, green, price volatility. IREN is very high. Again, that's kind of up to you whether or not that is a red or a green flag based on what your goals are as far as investment goes. As you can see here, fundamental summary, earnings and revenue, valuation. This is for me right here is the biggest thing. It's share price versus its fair value. As you can see here, IREN is currently 85% undervalued. I personally own some in my portfolio. I'm not telling you to do that. I'm just using IREN as an example. I think it is extremely undervalued, and I really like how it's not solely on Bitcoin mining. But as you can see here from the Simply Wall Street site, they give you this little infographic and gives you a whole kind of rundown on everything for the stock that really helps you, make more sound investing decisions. And for miners, for things that are so undervalued, like miners are currently, I think this is a great thing to kind of pick and choose which miners you might want to invest in potentially if you are interested in doing so. There's some really good people to follow on social media, such as like X and Twitter, that I personally keep up with as far as looking at certain miner stocks and just kind of staying up to date with things and kind of the crypto and Bitcoin realm of things, being Mike Alfred, Will Clemente, the Bitcoin mining stock guy. That I think that's his handle. It's something like that. I'll pop it up on screen too. But these people, they're very heavy in this space. This is kind of their full time. I know Mike Alfred is actually on the board for Iris Energy with the ticker IRON that we just looked at for an example. They're always tweeting about this, always keeping up to date, updates with this type of thing. So, those are some really good people that I personally follow. I'll put their handles up on the board as well. But kind of just in summary, I think, miner stocks are really undervalued right now. The supply shock is coming. And when it hits, these stocks are going to shoot up in value because this is the source for Bitcoin. Bitcoin has no transactional power without miners. There is no Bitcoin without miners, and there's no exchanges without miners. And I don't think that's really factored into the price, both for these miner stocks as well as for Bitcoin. But so I think there's a lot of value. I think the majority of miner stocks are undervalued right now. Some of my favorite personally, again, not financial advice, but just the ones that I hold in my portfolio are the ticker IRON, Cypher, and Wolf. And I think those are just kind of, I'll put them up on screen. Those are, the ones that I hold in my portfolio, the ones that I'm keeping an eye on. And I just, I think miners are really undervalued. I think there's a lot of innate value for miners. And if you're invested in Bitcoin, I think a good direct proxy investment is miners. And they could potentially outperform Bitcoin once this bull run really kicks off and we see supply shock hit and Bitcoin's price go through the roof. If you found that informational, insightful, entertaining in the slightest, please hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.